have reached the halfway point in this Friday edition. For the next 60 minutes, James-Traficant is our guest, the iconic Beam Me Up Scotty, there's no intelligent life here, congressman, who was absolutely railroaded into prison. There is no doubt about that, for exposing corruption and tyranny in this nation. And he's going to discuss the Tea Parties. He's running for the Congress again. We're going to get his take on the militarization of police, what really happened in Oklahoma City. He investigated that, what happened with the Pan Am flight, and a lot more. And we'll take some phone calls because I did have the phones open earlier for military and police to call in. We have all these government documents where they're training the military for martial law in America, and it's building towards a crescendo. James-Traficant, good to have you on with us, sir.
Glad to be back, Alex, and I want to say, after appearing on your show several months ago, I didn't realize how strong a show you have, and I want to commend you, because you are educating millions of American people, and I was surprised, and I'm honored to be asked to come back on your show.
Well, Congressman, we're honored to have you here because of your courage and your steadfastness. So much is happening, so much is going on. I've got questions and issues I want to pick your brain about, but out of the gates, the State of the Union, the state of the taxing system, all the new VAT taxes they want, telling us austerity, taxes are going to go up, our benefits are going to go down. What does James-Traficant say about that?
Well, number one, I think the country is bankrupt. That's evident. And number two, I think all they're talking about doing is just going to further implode this nation. And I see us dismantling like the old Soviet Union. I really do, Alex. I think that you can't continue to have the income tax that penalizes work, subsidizes illegitimacy, and rewards dependency. It's time to throw it out, abolish the IRS, repeal the 16th Amendment. Now, I support a flat, fair 25% consumption tax on final retail sales. Now, my opponents are saying that's going to hurt the poor. Quite frankly, Alex, Harvard did a study and said when you throw out the burdensome compliance of the IRS, he said the prices are going to drop. The prices will probably be similar to what we have now. But finally, for those naysayers, those people who are under the poverty level will simply take their pay stubs to the government, and there will be a system as there exists now. The only difference with the trafficking bill, Alex, is everybody must work who gets a government stipend. I don't care if they have 12 children, they'd work at the daycare center with those children. But you see, anybody that visits Broadway or visits Las Vegas from Germany and Japan, they'd pay into our tax scheme. And finally, it's a trade reciprocity program. If a country has barriers against ours, we have barriers against them. And we also quantify the standard of living in each country and weigh that down with tariffs as necessary. But it's a flat 25% final retail sales tax, no taxes on used materials, but just new retail sales and services. And, Alex, if the country does not move to this scheme, America will implode like the Soviet Union. That's my prediction right here on the Alex Jones Show.
Well, Congressman, I've seen the similar studies. I've talked to economists. It would be good if we only had one federal tax, other than the tariffs they could raise money with. The problem is Obama and others, they want a VAT on every level on top of the income tax.
Yes, this is the problem. You got to throw the income tax out. It was founded, and it's the predicate of the communist platform of Karl Marx. And it's done just that. It's made a dependent society over here. It's penalized work, and that's the last thing that the founders wanted. The reason we have the 16th Amendment, Alex, is when we first started the income tax, which, by the way, was only supposed to be on the rich people, it was taken to the Supreme Court, and it was struck down as unconstitutional. As a result, we have this 16th Amendment, and some people feel that it wasn't adequately ratified to boot, and that maybe we shouldn't repeal the 16th Amendment. We should just disregard it because it wasn't, in fact, lawful. But I think let's be safe. Let's repeal the 16th Amendment. Abolish the IRS. We don't need a Department of Energy. We don't need a Department of Education. There's too damn much government here, Alex. And what we don't need is we don't need more taxes on top of income taxes.
James-Traficant, stay there. Quick break, coming back with a long segment, talking about a host of issues and the demonization of the Tea Parties all over the news, saying they're racist, they're terrorist. Bill Clinton says that there's going to be another Oklahoma City, and it's going to be the fault of the American people. We'll see what James-Traficant says about that. Congressman, stay with us. James-Traficant, former congressman, is our guest. I've researched his case. It's even been on national news. They've admitted he was completely railroaded, set up, mainly because he was criticizing foreign aid, period, and foreign aid to Israel, and they told him they were going to get him. And we had Jane Graham, Oklahoma City bombing survivor, She was on the 9th floor on last week. She saw McVeigh and other feds planting gray sticks of butter, didn't know what they were. She brought this info to Congress. They wouldn't talk to her. The only person that would look at the information was James-Traficant. And she said she talked to James-Traficant's assistant in his office, and she said, yeah, they came and said, give us those documents back. And James-Traficant refused, and they said, we're going to get James-Traficant. But that was one of many reasons they went after him. But we'll talk about that today. But continuing with your campaign, you're running for Congress again. You are going to file. Tell us about that, Congressman.
I'll be filing this coming Monday as an independent in one of two districts. I'm not sure. Because when I went to art school, if you will, Alex, they split the district up into three ways to make sure I could never come back. So I'm basically have no money, but I think money plays too much a part in politics anyway. I think it's time for somebody without a lot of money just to put the hay where the ghost can reach it and tell the people what's going on and run the old-fashioned way.
Well, you certainly got a lot of name recognition, and a lot of people love you in your state there and know that you were railroaded. And we talked about that some last time, but perhaps because we have, a new audience tuning in all the time, recap what happened to you, and then we're going to get into some of the current things that are happening and get your take on it, like U.S. Army trains to confront Tea Party terrorists. This is confirmed. We have their internal training manuals where they prepare for gun confiscation and war against the American people. But first, recapping your railroading.
Well, number one, several of the people that were involved already now admitted they were pressured to lie. And there's a young man in Nigeria, a young black man that filed an affidavit with the Nigerian government, Mr. Okolo, said his life was ruined because he wouldn't perjure himself against trafficking. Bottom line, it was a 6-year investigation, $15 million, over 250 agents, on or about the time, Alex, that the Trade Center and the Pentagon were being attacked. And the government voluntarily stated at this trial that they made no tapes on me at all. And now it's come out, and I can't prove it yet, but it's all over that they burned boxes and boxes of tapes because there was no physical evidence. They had 7 people who said they bribed me. 3 of them already recanted. The 2 major charges were dropped because those people admitted before trial they were pressured to lie. So now the prosecutor's working for an insurance company somewhere in Ohio, and they're scared to death. And I want to say this on your show. I want some whistleblower to come forward and confirm that they burned boxes and boxes of tapes they made on Jim Traficant over a 6-year investigation, because the reason why they said they had no tapes, Alex, is I could have used their own tapes against them and say, where's the crime? So now I think they're showing it. I think it's coming out. I think most people realize what happened. And remember, I'm the guy that brought John Demjanjuk back home from Israel, who was on death row for being Ivan and terrible. And maybe this is an exclusive on your show today, Alex, that John Demjanjuk from Germany on trial now has requested of his family and his defense that they bring me into Germany relative to this trial. And if I am subpoenaed, I am going to Germany. So that's an exclusive for you, Alex.
And to recap that, the Israeli Supreme Court said you were right. You got him the documents. He was not the guy. We know who he was, looked nothing like this individual, and then still the U.S. government grabs him and sends him to Germany when Israel said he's innocent.
Yes, and you know what's amazing, Alex? We must give Israel credit for this. Their Supreme Court took my evidence. The U.S. courts wouldn't accept it. Congress wouldn't hold a hearing because they said it's too sensitive. And, Alex, what I said is, when the sensitivity, quote-unquote sensitivity, waived the Bill of Rights, my God, what happened to us? When you endanger the right of one American, you endanger the rights of all Americans. So what's happening now, and I want this also as an update on your program, Israel would not convene a trial on this new matter. So they had to go to Germany. Our government is just trying to cover their tracks. Alex, they should be charged with attempted murder. They knew this man wasn't Ivan, and they suborned perjury, they obstructed justice, and they've got away with it. They've gotten away with this, Alex.
And they know he's ill. It's official oppression. I mean, they know he's innocent. They're just doing this.
They're hoping he dies before there can even be a trial. They're trying to cover up for what they did in the past. Just remember this, Alex. The documents that I got that took him off a death row after being convicted were Justice Department documents.
And the Justice Department knew that he was not the guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is out of hand. We need a mechanism. We need a mechanism, Alex. We need a mechanism where the FBI and the Justice Department can be, in fact, tried. One of my last bills was the Fair Justice Act. The President would nominate, the Senate would confirm for a 10-year term. The director of the Fair Justice Agency would have only one duty, Alex, and that would be to investigate and prosecute crimes within the Justice Department. My God, we got a police state coming at us. We've got a government that we're basically economic slaves here. And no one's really looking at it seriously. That's why I'm giving you credit. You're going out on a limb. And I remember telling Connie Chung about Pan Am 103, be very careful how you handle Pan Am 103. And she did an hour special on the report, confidential report I got. And all I want to say is this. A couple weeks later, she was never seen on TV again. Now, you are a very courageous guy, and I've been following you. And I know that there are many people in the government that are very upset because you are educating the American people. And American people have been dumbed down through a mainstream media that has, in fact, aided and abetted this government, and I don't understand why.